A fable is a very short story that usually teaches a moral or a lesson about life. Some of the most well-known fables were written by Aesop. Who was Aesop? And how can fables improve your English? Well, keep listening for the answers to those questions. And also, we've got 5 of Aesop's most popular fables for you to listen to in this episode of
Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig.
Hello and welcome. My name's Craig.
And my name's Reza.
And with nearly 60 years of teaching between us, we're going to help you improve your English and take it to the next level. How are you doing, mate? It's been a while since we've been recording together. How are you doing?
I'm not bad. I've got a bit of a dodgy ankle, but apart from that, okay. The word dodgy means not quite 100% right. It's very colloquial English. But apart from that, I'm not bad. I'm enjoying the summer. What about you?
I'm fine, thank you. I have nothing dodgy at the moment. Touch wood. If you're touching wood, that means please don't let me have anything dodgy or anything wrong with me. But yeah, had a lovely summer break. We're back from our August school break, I think you could say, where we stopped teaching for a while and charge our batteries. So we're back with you with new ideas and new podcasts. And on this episode, we have some really good news from 2 of our students. Let's first go to Italy and listen to Ada.
Hi, Reza and Craig. How are you doing? This is Aida from Italy. Well, it took me a lot of courage to press the play button and send you this voice message. Here I am to thank you for your amazing job. I have to admit, though, you have definitely transformed me in an AIRC-aholic. In a year and a half, I've been listening to more than 250 episodes of this interesting, funny, and relaxing podcast. You have helped me a bunch with improving my English listening skills, widening my vocabulary, and my grammar knowledge while preparing for the C1 Cambridge exam. I took it in March and I got 200 marks in the listening part. So guys, thank you a lot. As I said, I'm speaking from Italy because I've been living here for 60 years now. But actually, I was brought up in Albania. And yes, Reza, Albanians are definitely impatient, nervous, and chaotic drivers. Driving there is quite an experience. Have a lovely summer, both of you. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you very, very much for your message, Ida. And I'm really pleased that you have escaped the mad Albanian drivers and you've gone to the nice, calm, considerate drivers of Italy. So that must be an improvement. Any comments, Reza?
Yes, thanks very much for your message. I could say Aida or I could say Aida. There's a few different ways to pronounce it in English. I think you said Aida, didn't you? If we're wrong, please correct us. Wow, so you are a survivor like me of Albanian drivers. But let's not forget that Albania has many beautiful, fantastic things to see. And even though it is stressful to drive around in a car for the first time there, it is worth it to see that beautiful, beautiful country. And by the way, what an interesting language, Albanian. I couldn't tell you much about it, just that it is odd. It's not quite like anything else. Italian seems easy compared to Albanian. So you're quite a linguist, Aida. Well done in passing the C1.
Yep, congratulations on that wonderful news of passing the exam. And I want to comment on your accent, your pronunciation, which is very, very good, very clear. The audio had some clicking sounds, so it was a bit difficult because of the quality of the audio, but your accent, your pronunciation in English is excellent. So congratulations.
Craig, I think we have more feedback, don't we? But it's in the form of an email, am I right?
Yes, more good news from friend of the show, Denise from Greece, who is also a Patreon supporter. And she says in her email that she's recently achieved a B2 level in the national certification in Greece for English language. And she also pays us a lovely compliment, as Ada did. She says, your conversation course has helped me so much not to be blacked out at the speaking part or when your mind goes blank. So that's fantastic news, Denise. Well done.
Well done, Denise. Yeah. And I've realized just by chance, there seems to be a kind of a Balkan theme because, of course, Greece is next door to Albania. And when I was in Albania on holiday a few months ago, I stayed in a very nice place on the coast and I could see from the balcony of my hotel Corfu. It was only a couple of miles away. And then I went even further south and some of the road signs in Albania were written in Greek. There seems to be a Greek-speaking minority in the south of Albania. So there's definitely a connection there between Denise and Aida.
Before we continue with our main focus for this episode, just a quick note to tell you that we've been having problems with the website, inglespodcast.com, where you'll find the show notes to all of our episodes. There's been some kind of hack, some malicious code somehow got into the webpage. And what happens is when you go to the main website, inglespodcast.com, or if you click to go to another section of the website, you see this captcha page with a little box where you have to tick. You've probably seen these. It shows that you're a human, you're not a computer, but it is false. So when you click a couple of times, you get some instructions. Please do not do anything that you see after you've ticked that box, if you tick that box, because there's some malicious code in there that we're trying to remove. Now, if you do see that, I'd really appreciate you sending me an email to let me know, because we're trying to remove it. And I also want to thank Michael and Lumia for bringing this to my attention and helping me with that. And of course, Ruben, my friend, who is giving me a lot of help to try and solve this problem, which we will do as soon as we can. So once more, be very, very careful if you see that capture page. It doesn't always appear, but if you see it, let me know and don't do anything. Just leave the page, go back in later, and I'm sure it will be okay.
Okay, so let's get down to our main topic for today. Who was Aesop or Aesop? I've heard both pronunciations. That's the thing with English, isn't it? As you know,
and Greek.
And Greek, yeah. How on earth do you pronounce it? Greek, we're not quite ancient Greek. We're not quite sure how to pronounce because we haven't got any recordings. And so in English, there are many words where there's more than one pronunciation, and even more so if it comes from a foreign language, like ancient Greek. So and Latin. So even Greek and Latin scholars have different ways of pronouncing words because we don't know how they did it. So you could say Aesop or you could say Aesop. Well, whatever is the pronunciation, Craig, who was he?
Who was he? Well, he was a storyteller from ancient Greece, and he is believed to have lived around the 6th century BCE, approximately 620 to 564 BCE. BCE means before the Christian era, so before Christ. And he's most famous for writing very short moral stories, which are called fables. And usually in these fables, there are animals that talk and they behave like humans. And there's something usually quite profound, quite interesting, quite philosophical about the stories that Aesop told. So even though this guy lived over 2,500 years ago, his stories are still very popular today. They're told all over the world, and their lessons are quite simple. They're universal, so they cross cultural boundaries, and they're timeless. So we thought we would share a few with you.
Now, the first one is one that I bet nearly everybody listening has heard of. It's such a famous tale. Tale is another way of saying story. Yes, the pronunciation is the same as tail, which is the thing at the back of some animals that they move around. Like a dog, when it's happy, it wags its tail, it moves it. That's Tail, but we're talking about tails, Tales. Different spelling, but the same pronunciation. So the first tale is about two animals, of course, the tortoise and the hare. Another note on pronunciation, I'm not talking about the hair on your head, if you've got some, if you're not bald. I'm talking about an animal, Hare. Wow, doesn't English cause complications when it could be so much easier if we just had a simple pronunciation system with fixed rules, but we don't.
Well, we've got to keep in our jobs, Reza. We've got to keep working, so we make it more difficult, don't we?
That's true. If there were fixed rules, there wouldn't be any need for this podcast. So the tortoise, those very, very, very slow animals that can live for many, many, many years. You know, they're low, they're near the ground, and they've got that big shell, that hard thing on the top of them. And if they get frightened, their legs and head pop inside the shell, and you can't do anything to them because it's very hard shell. They're protected. And a hare, Hare, is kind of like a rabbit but bigger, and I think it has bigger ears. Is that right?
Oh, I'm not sure about the ears, but I do know that in the UK, what's very, very popular is, that horse racing is very popular in the UK, and people they gamble on how fast the horses run. Well, there's a similar sport, and it's very popular again for gambling and betting, called dog racing. And they race greyhounds. Well, how do they get these greyhounds, these fast dogs, to run around the track? Well, they have a mechanical hare. So these dogs run after the hare because the natural instinct of a dog is to chase a rabbit or chase a hare. So they run after the hare, and sometimes they even catch it and they destroy it. But that's a very popular sport in the UK, hares being chased by dogs for money.
Can I just digress even further, as I always do? But it's funny you should mention the greyhounds. I knew about them racing, but I didn't know that the mechanical contraption was meant to look like a hare. But I guess it shouldn't surprise me, because here I am living in the Valencia area, and as you know, I'm quite proud that I'm studying the local language, Valencia, very similar to Catalan. Or you could even say it's a dialect. And did you know, Craig, that the Spanish word for greyhound is galgo?
Yes, I knew that because of you, because of your galgos in the past.
Guess what the Catalan or Valencian word is?
No idea.
Llebrer. And what's the word for hare? Llebre. So a greyhound is called a llebrer because it's the dog that goes after hares.
Oh, that's
what
interesting.
It means.
Okay.
The harer, if you like.
Yeah.
Llebrer, the dog that goes after hares. That's what a greyhound's called in Valencia.
Okay, well, that's easy to remember because you can make the connection.
Yep.
Very good. So what is this story about? We've got an animal, a tortoise, that's very slow. We've got an animal, a hare, which runs very fast. And this hare was very proud of how fast he could run. He was really proud and pleased because he could run so fast. So one day he laughed at the tortoise because the tortoise moved so slowly. And he said to the tortoise, "You'll never win a race against me."
"Let's try," said the tortoise calmly. And they began the race. The hare quickly ran far ahead, no surprise. Feeling confident, he stopped to rest and soon fell asleep.
Now the tortoise kept going slowly but steadily, little by little. And by the time the hare woke up, the tortoise was almost at the finish line. The hare ran as fast as he could, but it was too late. The tortoise had already won. What do we learn from that?
So, yeah, the moral, moral. That's what you learn from a story or an event is slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady, stable, never going extra quick, not going too slow, just maintaining the same slow but steady pace, and you'll win the race.
So you could apply this to language teaching. I mean, it's much more useful for you to be learning steadily day by day, even 10 minutes a day. Doing something in English over time will give you much better results than if you study once a week for 6 hours or once a month for 20 hours. So the idea of consistency will be very, very useful in the long run. Did you see what I did there? In the long run. So also, if you're investing compound interest, if you put maybe 5 or 10 euros every month in your savings account in the bank, over time, gradually, you will have a lot of money after many years.
Yeah, Craig, just going back to what you said about the language learning. I mean, you and I have had different types of classes. It doesn't matter if it's face-to-face or online. I generally find that people who have the time to meet, let's say for an hour, 3 times a week, they're going to progress more quickly than someone who meets once for 3 hours.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. And in my conversation classes, I have a Sunday class for people who are very, very busy during the week. But I recommend the midweek class because you're studying more frequently. You're studying twice a week, not one. So that consistency, like the tortoise going slowly but steadily, will win the race. Our next tale concerns another animal, a fox and some fruit, grapes. What's this one about, Reza? The fox and the grapes.
Well, a hungry fox saw a bunch of juicy grapes. When you've got lots of grapes together, you call them a bunch. And that bunch of juicy grapes was hanging from a high vine. That's the bush, like a small tree that grapes grow from.
Did you say bush?
Like a bush, yeah.
Oh, sorry, it sounded like bouche. It sounded like the French word for mouth, bouche.
Oh, la bouche, yeah.
La bouche.
From the bush.
I would say bush. You said bouche.
Bush, yeah, bush. Well,
Is that a Belfast accent?
It should be the opposite because you're the one who's just come from Canada, but I've almost said it like a Canadian. Out in the bush.
In the bush.
I don't know where that came from. I'm gonna blame my ankle for that. The pain of my ankle's gone to my head. I'm doing crazy things. But anyway, this hungry fox, he saw a bunch of juicy grapes hanging from a high vine, and he tried to jump and reach them, but he couldn't.
So he jumped again, he tried again and again to reach the grapes, but the grapes were just too high. And eventually he got tired and very annoyed and very angry because he couldn't get the grapes. And he walked away from the vine and said, oh, those grapes are probably sour anyway. Sour, the opposite of sweet. In other words, not very nice to eat. What do we learn from that one, Reza?
So the moral of this one is, it's easy to dislike what you cannot have. And indeed, that's where I presume we get the expression in English, sour grapes.
Yes.
Sour grapes. It comes from this tale of Aesop. When someone is unhappy because they lost an event, and they can't even say, oh, well done to the person who won. You say, oh, sour grapes.
And you can apply this to our modern world. For example, successful influencers and people on social media who have these expensive, wonderful houses and fast cars, and they seem to have a perfect, happy life. You might think, oh, they're probably not happy. They're just doing that for the video, for example. Or imagine if you're dating romantically and you ask a girl or a boy to go out with you and have dinner and you get refused and rejected, you might sort of get angry and say, oh, well, I don't like her anyway. I don't like him anyway. So, yeah, it's no problem. So this idea of having sour grapes if you get rejected. Let's take a quick break here because I know you listen to this podcast to take your English to the next level. But what about your speaking? Is your fluency improving? Are you happy with your speaking skills? My conversation course focuses on making you a more confident and more fluent English speaker. You'll join me and a small group of motivated students, and we'll meet on Zoom and have topical discussions, role plays, debates, and presentations that will expand your vocabulary and help you express yourself effectively in English. So be proactive and take the first step towards becoming a confident and fluent English speaker. Send me an email today to craig@inglespodcast.com and I'll send you details of the next online conversation course. Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Let's move on to our next story, which is another classic. I know that Spanish people are aware of it, and I'm sure in most countries in the world. It's about the boy who cried wolf. So what's that all about, Craig?
Well, imagine there's a shepherd boy who's looking after sheep in the countryside, and he's getting quite bored. I mean, how many sheep can you look at during the day? So he's watching his sheep and he's getting very bored. He doesn't know what to do. So he decides to have some fun. And he starts shouting, "Wolf! Wolf! There's a wolf attacking the sheep."
So, as you would expect, the villagers ran to help. But of course, there was no wolf. The boy just invented it to have some fun, and he laughed. Now, he did this again. He shouted, "Wolf, wolf." The next day, the villagers ran up again. And again, there was no wolf. So he was just having fun a second time.
On the third day, what happened? A wolf came. A real wolf appeared to eat one of the sheep. And the boys shouted, "Wolf, wolf." But of course, this time, no one came. So the wolf attacked the sheep and the boy learned a hard lesson. So what's the moral there, Reza?
So the moral, what you need to learn from this one is, if you lie, people won't believe you even when you tell the truth. Yeah, the boy lied twice. The third time there really was a wolf, but by that stage, no one was prepared to believe him.
So if you think about it, you can apply this to fake news and misinformation that we're seeing on the internet and clickbait. So you see things and you click and you read and you realize it's not true, or you see an image and it's been created by AI. Well, eventually you're not going to believe anything. And I think that's happening slowly in modern day life.
The next one is about a very big and fearsome animal and a very small and timid animal. And that is the lion and the mouse. Craig, how does this story begin?
Well, a lion was sleeping when a small mouse ran over his paw. The paw is the leg or the hand of the lion, and this mouse ran over his paw while he was sleeping. The lion caught the mouse and was just about to eat the mouse when the mouse said, "Please, let me go," begged the mouse. "One day I might help you." What happened, Reza?
Before we go on, can I say that was a fantastic mouse impression?
Well, Mickey taught me.
Mickey himself, of course.
I learned everything I know from Mickey.
It was very like Mickey, actually. So the lion laughed at this little mouse pleading to be let go, but he let him go. He let the little mouse go. Later, the lion was caught in a hunter's net, and he roared for help. To roar is that kind of sound. My lion's even worse than Craig's mouse, isn't it? He roared for help, and the mouse heard the lion, ran to the net and chewed through the ropes until the lion was free.
What does chew mean?
So to chew is to use your teeth to bite through something and break it down into pieces, or to, in this case, to cut it. So the mouse, with his little mouse, chewed and chewed and chewed until the rope broke, and then the lion was free from the net.
So the moral of the story is, even the smallest or insignificant friend can be of great help to you. And applying this to modern life, well, don't ignore small or insignificant people who work in the company, for example, because one day they might be of real help to you. And it also occurred to me to think of startups that when they start, they're very insignificant. They don't have a lot of effect. Startups like Uber, for example, or even OpenAI, where we get ChatGPT from. You don't notice them in the beginning, but suddenly, wow, they really are something that is useful and something that can help you a great deal. What's number 5, Reza? We've got 2 more animals here, haven't we?
Yes, both of the animals are small in this case. They're both insects. It's the ant and the grasshopper. Now, as we were mentioning earlier, English pronunciation causes so many problems. The ant here is not the woman who's married to your uncle. It could be, but it isn't, because the pronunciation is the same. But no, this is ant. This is the little insect, some of which can bite you. Some can, some can't. But that little insect, which always seems to be really busy doing things, moving around. They love to come out in the heat, in the sun.
And get in your sugar bowl sometimes.
Oh, they love sugar, don't they? Yeah, if you've got sugar around the house in Valencia in summer, you're going to get ants. And you don't want to get ants in your pants, do you, Craig?
No, that's very itchy. You'll end up scratching if you get ants in your pants.
And Craig, the other one is a grasshopper. How would you describe that?
Well, it's bigger than an ant. Or an ant. Not as big as an ant, but it's bigger than an ant.
Oh, yes, there's a point. Yeah, sorry. You pronounce them, of course, differently. And
yeah, it's a different vowel sound.
Of course, it is, but not in Belfast. We don't bother. But yes, Craig's pronunciation is right. Yeah, we need to point that out. Yeah, I was saying, oh, they're pronounced the same, but technically they're not. Yeah, Craig is making a difference because you're really supposed to. I'd forgotten that my accent's kind of regional. And the word for the woman who's married to your uncle should be a bit longer, shouldn't it? Aunt. But in Belfast, we say aunt, the same as the insect.
So I would say aunt and uncle. And you say?
Aunt and uncle.
Aunt and uncle.
Say the same. It's a different word. So for me, mi tia, the woman who's married to my uncle, it's the same as an insect. It's the same thing.
And in my pronunciation from the south of England, the R, the vowel sound, will be the same vowel sound that you find in the word car or far or bar. So that R sound, aunt. So the grasshopper, well, it's bigger than an ant. And it jumps, doesn't it? It hops. If you hop on one leg, so you're only using your one leg to go forward, that's hopping. And a grasshopper hops in the grass. So it looks a little bit like a locust, but I think a locust is bigger. And it's an insect that jumps very high and moves around the grass. So what happened with the ant and the grasshopper, Reza?
Well, all summer, the ants worked hard. As I said earlier, they're famous for working hard, and they love coming out in the sun. So they worked hard all summer, collecting food for the winter. The grasshopper, however, spent his time singing and enjoying the sun.
Sounds like you.
Yep.
Maybe not singing. And the ants, well, they said to the grasshopper, you should prepare for the winter. So the ants warned the grasshopper, prepare. But the grasshopper just laughed and said, there's still plenty of time.
When winter came, the ants were warm and had food because of all the preparation they'd done in the summer, right? But the grasshopper was cold and hungry.
So the grasshopper went to the ants for help. But the ants said, aha, you played all summer while we worked. So what do we learn from that? Well, obviously we learned that the ants were quite selfish, but we also learn you need to prepare today for the needs of tomorrow. So you need to do things now to guarantee a good future for yourself. And again, I think this goes back to saving money and finance, compound interest, saving. If you save when you're 18, just a little bit, by the time you're maybe 50, 55, you can retire early. So prepare for the future and look after your health today, and tomorrow will take care of itself.
You could also apply it to things like conservation as regards climate change. As we all know, temperatures are rising, global warming, the ice caps melting, because we didn't prepare well for the possibility, and we still aren't
Exactly
as much as we should. So it really is time that we start to do something before it's too late.
Yeah, and conservation. Don't cut down all those trees. Keep the trees and conserve the natural environment. Now, before we say goodbye and let you practice your English and send us a message, Rezo, I do have one more moral that I'd like to mention, but it isn't a moral from Aesop. Would you like to hear it?
Go ahead.
Okay. Another animal, a little bird, was flying south for the winter. And it was really, really cold. So eventually the little bird froze in the air, turned to ice, and fell into a large field. While he was lying there, a cow came along and dropped some dung on him. Dung is the excrement, or the shit, you could say, from the cow. And the cow did this on top of the bird. Suddenly, the little bird began to realize how warm it was. And he could move again. He was warm and he was happy, and he began to sing. Now, there was a cat in the field who heard the little bird singing with joy. So the cat found the bird in the cow dung and ate him. What's the moral of the story?
Good question.
Shall I tell you?
I'm not sure. What is the moral?
Not everyone who shits on you is your enemy.
True.
Not everyone who gets you out of the shit is your friend. And when you're in deep shit, it's best to keep your mouth shut.
3 good, very important lessons there. Yeah, I like it.
So we'd like to hear from you. Do you have any stories with morals? Please let us know if you do. Reza, how can people contact us?
Well, probably the best way is to leave a voice message. We like to hear your voice and talk about your pronunciation. So there's a link in the show notes to speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast. Or, like Denise, you could send an email with a comment or question to either Craig, you'll find him at craig@inglespodcast.com, or me at belfastreza@gmail.com.
And if you're a Spanish speaker and you want to improve your English with free and paid resources, why not visit the Mansion Ingles website? You can do that by going to mansioningles.com. And if you're interested in paid products for your English, you can browse the online store at store.mansioningles.net.
As always, we'd like to say thank you very much to all our Patreon supporters. That's Patreon. And people who join the Patreon program get instant access to the audio transcriptions of the podcast. And also, as a little added bonus, the chance to have live Zoom chats with Craig so that you can practice your speaking. If you're interested in giving a donation, why not have a look? There's a link in the show notes to patreon.com/Ingles podcast.
And we cannot say goodbye today without thanking our wonderful Patreon supporters who have joined this month. And they are Jesus Villamajo, Sara Fernandez, Snapperus, who I think is Marvin. Hello, Marvin. Thanks for your support. Amparo Soto, Juanma, friend of the show, Carmen Roldan, Pedro, and Maria Elisa Alvarez Torres. Thank you so much to you and to everybody who is supporting us on Patreon.
Craig, what are we going to talk about in the next episode?
Well, let's stay happy and talk about famous quotations about happiness, which I believe was your idea. So thank you, Reza, for suggesting that. If you enjoyed the show, please tell your friends so that more people can listen. And until next Sunday, have a lovely week and thanks for listening. It's goodbye from me.
And it's bye-bye from me.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.